Kicking off our list, number 10 is Vivica A. Fox. Back in 2005, the Kill Bill actress appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote her new Lifetime show. Anyone who watches his talk show knows that he is one to make jokes, but some of them did not go over too well with Vivica. Jimmy used this opportunity to make some jokes about her friend, Star Jones, who is a host on The View, and she just didn't like that very much. She was clearly upset and the interview immediately turned cold. Jimmy tried to smooth things over and continue having the interview, but she just stopped having it and got up and left mid-interview. She never returned back to the stage to finish the show, so Jimmy actually continued it without her and told the crowd that she would never be allowed to come back. However, I think most people can agree that she probably wouldn't want to come back anyways when you making fun of her friend. Up next, number 9 is Sinead O'Connor. I probably said that wrong. I get it wrong every time. She rose to fame in the 80s as a popular singer and has always been known for her controversial views about politics and personal beliefs. So it's not all that surprising that something could happen during an interview that would have her not invited back for another one. She is just another person to have been banned from Saturday Night Live after she pulled a stunt that just went too far. The show is meant to make people laugh, right? But she didn't do that. She went on the show and performed, and while she was singing a cover of Bob Marley's War, she took out a picture of Pope John Paul II and started reciting the word evil, and then went on to rip it in half and say, "Fight the real enemy." Really weird. The entire studio was just shocked and left in complete silence, most likely just feeling super uncomfortable, not knowing how to react to that. After that, she was not invited back and she was banned from appearing on the show ever again, especially performing, if anything. Moving on to number 8, we have Bobcat Goldthwait. Goldthwait. The comedian had issues when he appeared on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno back in 1994. Usually when a guest goes on a talk show, they sit on a couch and do an interview. They don't set it on fire. Yeah, Bobcat is not the typical guest that people would normally have on their show, apparently. He went on the show and decided that during the interview, he would pull out a lighter and set his chair on fire. Jay Leno actually put it out with one of the cups of water that he had, but he made the comedian sit back in the chair, which was then burnt and covered in water. Bobcat ended up getting fined over $3,000 for the stunt and was banned from the show for a week. On top of that, he was also forced to record a public service announcement about fire safety. His banishment was only a week long though on the show, and he did reappear after that.
At number 7, Mitchell Musso. Hannah Montana was one of Disney Channel's biggest hit shows. It catapulted Miley Cyrus into stardom, and some of her co-stars felt the bright lights of Hollywood shining down on them as well. One of those stars being Mitchell Musso. Mitchell played one of Miley's best friends, Oliver Oaken, in the show, and all was well, at least until the show's end. Towards his end of the series run, Mitchell changed up his look. He was no longer a shaggy-haired dude who sported layered t-shirts, and he was now a dark-haired rock star. The change happened due to Mitchell's real-life appearance change as he cut his hair shorter, dyed it black, and got a bunch of tattoos. According to Mitchell, the executives freaked out when he showed up on set like this, and so they tried covering it up by including it in the show. After his run on Hannah Montana, Mitchell moved on to other Disney shows, but things were a little rocky for him and the company, as during this time he was in the news for being arrested for a DUI. He was later distanced from the company and hasn't really worked much since, after coming away with a broken image from Disney. At number 6, Jake Paul. You know, sometimes I forget that Jake Paul used to be a Disney star. I mean, you look at the guy post-boxing match, bloody and bruised, and it's hard to imagine that face was on the Disney Channel. But yeah, before 2017, Jake Paul was a member of the cast of Bizaardvark. That is, until he got fired from the show. Though he was a hard-working actor, he was also in the midst of running Team 10, and at this point, it was still fairly new, but uber successful. Jake was frequently in the news during this time because of backyard fires, noise complaints, police calls, and just being a nuisance to his neighbors, something that they complained about often. Well, after all of Jake's bad press, he got a call from the show's executives saying that they were going to start weaning him off the show, and eventually just took him off the show completely. Disney didn't need this kind of bad press from someone that the media was calling a YouTube brat. Jake didn't really seem to mind getting let go from his job since it allowed him to grow his YouTube presence even more, and I guess it kind of worked out if you call pestering Conor McGregor at every waking moment on the internet a success, that is. Don't really think so. At number 5, Thora Birch. From Hocus Pocus to American Beauty, Thora Birch was a rising star, but due to a number of reported conflicts, Thora isn't finding the same level of success that she used to, and some say that she's been blacklisted from Hollywood. Much of this has to do with Thora's father and the conflict that he's been involved in. First, it was reported in 2010 that Thora had been fired from an off-Broadway production of Dracula because her father would frequently accompany Thora to set and had physically threatened other actors. Thora was also fired from her next project, Manson Girls, after her father allegedly got into an argument with production. From 2010 to 2018, Thora reportedly booked only one gig, and the actress has said that much of that has to do with her bad rep in the industry. She said that she angered a lot of people over the years, and so this could be the reason that she's blacklisted. At number 4, Isaiah Washington. You may know Isaiah Washington from Grey's Anatomy, but if you wanted to see what he got up to after leaving the show, you might be a little hard-pressed to do so. Isaiah left his role on Grey's for a number of reasons that turned it into scandals. Firstly, he allegedly didn't get along with co-star Patrick Dempsey, and it was alleged that they even got into a physical altercation. But the nail in his coffin, so to speak, was his controversial use of a gay slur when referring to one of his other co-stars, T.R. Knight. As a result, he was let go from the show, and this behavior apparently led him to being blacklisted for a few years. No one wanted to work with him because his homophobic scandal was still fresh in many people's minds. Eventually, he was able to make it back to the screen in Grey's as he took up his character's story once again, and he even got a role on the show The 100. His Hollywood ban was very real, but also very brief. At number 3, Rose McGowan. In 2017, actress Rose McGowan told sources that she was blacklisted from Hollywood because she was a victim of Harvey Weinstein. Rose is one of the individuals who came forward about their unwanted relations with Weinstein, ultimately leading to his conviction. Rose, known for her time on the show Charmed as well as in Scream, says that she was threatened and subsequently blacklisted and banned from Hollywood because of what she endured from an internal level as a way to protect those who knew from being outed. Now Rose is very outspoken about these matters and seeks justice for all victims of these sort of crimes. Her case originally settled out of court and everything was kept quiet, which is why she was no longer welcome in the industry, but this ban says a lot about the characters in Hollywood. Wanting to protect the higher-ups in the business and sacrificing someone's career should never be the answer. Rose lost a lot at that time and it's not fair to her, so this is one ban that went unwarranted. At number 2, Jim Caviezel. It's not always tweets and fights that get you banned from Hollywood. The roles you play and the productions that you're a part of can also take a toll on your career, and this is what happened with actor Jim Caviezel. Coming from some minor success in the 90s, Jim's defining moment came when he played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's Passions of the Christ film. The movie itself was a financial success, but the media tore it apart, calling it too violent and controversial. The R-rated film caught a lot of bad press as it was seen as anti-Semitic, and those who worked on the film had a hard time shaking that label, especially Jim. Apparently, before filming began, Mel Gibson warned Jim that he could potentially be shunned from Hollywood for this film, but he went ahead with it anyway. Jim says that he has no regrets starring in the movie, but he's no longer welcome in Hollywood as a result. And finally, at number 1, Mel Gibson. Speaking of the Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson is someone who is notoriously hated in Hollywood for a number of reasons. He is no longer considered for any Hollywood roles and only seems to make an entrance into the industry when he is directing his own film, but he still holds a bad rep in the film world. He's been the subject of a number of controversies, from that of the Passions of the Christ for being anti-Semitic, to career-damaging freakouts, driving under the influence, and a number of people coming forward to discuss Mel's racist and anti-Semitic views. Though he continues to get canceled in Hollywood, he attempts to make a return every so often, so I guess you could say he's almost like the Trisha Paytas of Hollywood. He's been facing controversy for decades and no one has really forgiven him, and so he remains banned in Hollywood. At number 10, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr had a pretty good thing going up until 2018. Prior to then, Roseanne was finding a lot of success in the Roseanne sitcom reboot on ABC and was getting ready to usher in a new season. Everything changed after the actress tweeted out an offensive and racist tweet about Barack Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, comparing her to an ape. As a result, Roseanne felt the wrath of Hollywood and her show and career had been cancelled. Though she deleted the tweet and issued an apology for her actions, this couldn't save her career, and she's since been reportedly blacklisted from Hollywood. The actress tried defending her actions by claiming that she thought Valerie Jarrett was white, but that excuse didn't really go over well, and it made things worse for her instead. Recently, we've seen Hollywood taking these kinds of offensive actions more seriously, so many celebs have faced mass scrutiny and cancellations because of past actions or current beliefs. Roseanne has also gone on to say in interviews that Hollywood shunned her because of her political beliefs. At number 9, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green rose to fame in the mid-90s, but I think most of us know him for his hit song Forget You or F You. CeeLo even got to be a judge on The Voice for a brief time, that is until he began getting caught in scandals. The first came from back in 2011 after he was deemed homophobic after tweeting and using the word gay in a derogatory manner. This scandal blew over eventually until 2014 when a new scandal came about, this time concerning allegations of non-consensual relations with a woman. It was alleged that the singer slipped an illicit substance into a woman's drink and went home with her, but after pleading no contest to the allegations, it was determined that the relationship was consensual. CeeLo then proceeded to defend himself on Twitter, making offensive remarks, and as a result, he lost support. He stepped down from his role on The Voice and was even taken off the lineup for a music festival. He was essentially blacklisted for some time since no one really wanted to work with him. Even though he was later welcomed back to The Voice, this decision came with uproar, which suggests that fans haven't forgotten about CeeLo. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like, and also head on over to the Viper Girl channel and hit that subscribe button for some awesome gameplay content featuring yours truly.
And at number 8, Janet Jackson. On the heels of her unforgettable Super Bowl nip slip, it was announced that Janet Jackson was banned from attending the Grammy Awards. Her publicist said that she was unlikely to attend anyway, while the entertainment show Access Hollywood said the invitation had been withdrawn anyways. After the incident where Justin Timberlake ripped her shirt and exposed her breast, she went on TV and apologized, saying, quote, "I am really sorry if I offended anyone. That was truly not my intention." Jackson was scheduled to introduce the Luther Vandross tribute at the Grammys, but that invitation was canceled in light of the controversial event. After the scandal, CBS also said it would have a 5-minute delay on the award show to prevent anything like that happening again. And at number 7, Guns N' Roses. This is one incident where the band Guns N' Roses probably should have been banned. When the band was accepting multiple awards at the American Music Awards that aired January of 1990, they swore a number of times on stage, appeared drunk, and even encouraged viewers to drink too. The band won 2 awards at the ceremony, and both times Slash and McKagan were called up to the podium, they stumbled and swore on stage, saying things that vaguely made sense, like, quote, "We're a band, man. We go in, we jam, we hang out, and we listen to rap records, and we go dance, you know? Our audience is the only thing that makes this happen." And I'm sure after that, someone from the award show gave their management an earful. In at number 6, Morgan Wallen. Country artist Morgan Wallen has been banned from performing at or receiving any recognition during the upcoming Academy of Country Music Awards after a video of him saying the N-word to friends was leaked. The first round of voting for the award show has already closed, but his name will be taken out for the second round of voting. A tweet from CMT read, quote, "After learning of Morgan Wallen's racial slur last night, we are in the process of removing his appearances from all our platforms. We do not tolerate or condone words or actions that are in direct opposition to our core values that celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion."
We are halfway through. At number 5, we have Robert Blake. Guess what? Another person banned from Saturday Night Live. It seems like getting banned from the show happens more often than any other talk show on this list. In 2001, Robert's wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, was tragically killed. Some people knew her from the iconic Little Rascals movie. In 2005, Blake was actually accused of being the one who pulled the trigger. He underwent a very lengthy and controversial trial, but was found not guilty in the end. Many people would think that this might be the reason that he was banned from SNL, but it actually was not. But it kind of goes hand in hand. He actually hosted the show before this scandal back in 1982 and showed off a very vicious temper in the process. Reports say he was insulting cast members, crumpled up a script and threw it at one of the writers, and had a very nasty attitude towards people involved. He ended up getting banned from the show, and a lot of people correlate his angry temper history with the murder trial that happened down the road. I don't know. I ain't trying to point fingers, but like, Rolling into the number 4 spot is Charles Grodin. The deadpan actor is known for being very talented at his craft, so why was his late night comedy sketch so bad to a point where he was banned from returning? Fans expected nothing less than perfection from him when he went on an episode of Saturday Night Live back in 1977. Everyone thought he was gonna crush it, which he really he should have. But things did not go to plan. Charles went on to host the show and wanted to play a character rather than himself. He wanted to play Charles Grodin, SNL host, who was bad at hosting SNL. He played up this character and deliberately forgot his lines and ad-libbed his way through all of the sketches and basically just bombed the entire thing. He literally kept pretending that he didn't know the show was live. It was a nightmare. Lorne Michaels obviously had enough and he was banned from coming back. Poor Lorne Michaels having to ban all these people. Taking over our third spot is Louise Lasser. She was best known for her 1970s soap opera parody Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. She loved what she was doing at the time, and you could tell with how it came out through her craft and her character. But you could also tell how she had a miserable time hosting Saturday Night Live because it very much showed. She was actually the first person, reports say, to ever get banned from this show. The very first. During her opening monologue, she mentioned that Mary Hartman was in the middle of having a nervous breakdown. She then started to emulate her character and started rambling about how scared she was to be on live television, and she locked herself in her dressing room. Like, she literally locked herself in her dressing room during her opening monologue. Other cast members tried to coax her out of the room, but only Chevy Chase was successful. But even after the show continued on, she kept forgetting her lines, and the episode ended with her sitting on the floor, like the studio floor, talking about her problems and how she was having a mental breakdown. She was banned from the show, but in 2013, she said that she intentionally made it look like she was having a breakdown because she didn't feel comfortable performing the sketches that they had written for her. Just don't go on the show if you don't want to do the sketches. Up next, number 2, we have Heather Mills. She is just another star that was banned from the Piers Morgan show, who has actually released a list in the past of everyone that he is banned from his show. So he's not very shy about the topic, to say the least. Heather is the ex-wife of Paul McCartney and was banned from his show after she and Paul got divorced back in 2008. She was given a $50 million settlement for the divorce, and since Piers was friends with Paul, he didn't feel right having her on his show. In fact, he actually introduced the couple in the first place, so he took his buddy's side and kind of slapped a lifetime ban against her. He has also said it is the least he could do for his friend to make up for the financial and emotional pain that she caused his friend. And he also referred to her as a gold digger. So they're not on good terms. Winning the number 1 spot is Oprah Winfrey. Bet you're a little surprised. She is arguably the biggest name in broadcast television. Who wouldn't want to have her on their show? Talk about ratings. David Letterman, apparently. The two of them had a feud that lasted over 25 years, and Oprah actually refused to go on his show again, which ended up with him saying that she's never allowed. Letterman admitted that he played up the tension between them on his show to get laughs out of the audience, and says it all started when Oprah allegedly snapped at him on the phone when he called her to invite her back on his show. Oprah says she did the appearance on his show and felt very uneasy due to his rowdy audience and just didn't feel comfortable going on again. So she said no. So he banned her. The feud lasted way too long, and once he stopped talking about her, like on his show and making funny shots at her, they were able to make up, and they have been on each other's show ever since. So this one has a happy ending.
And at number 10, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart got the opportunity of a lifetime when he was asked to host the Oscars in 2018, but it was promptly taken away after old tweets of his resurfaced that were offensive to the LGBTQ community. Kevin responded to the backlash in a video on Instagram, where he said the Academy asked him to apologize and he would still be able to host. But Hart refused and did not want to apologize again, saying in the video that he had addressed all the tweets prior and has apologized multiple times for them, and he didn't want to apologize again and let the trolls win. After that fiasco, the Academy decided to not have a host, and since they haven't had a host since, it seems this controversy made them completely rethink the way the awards are hosted, and this means Kevin will most likely never host the show. And at number 9, 50 Cent. 50 Cent almost pulled a Kanye at the 2004 Grammy Awards. 50 Cent along with Evanescence were up for the Best New Artist award. Evanescence ended up winning, and when they came on stage to accept the award, 50 walked on stage right behind them. Thankfully, he didn't stay on the stage for long. He basically just walked on the stage and then walked straight off. But obviously that kind of act is not tolerated. But it seems 50 Cent doesn't care about being blacklisted by the award show, as he actually spoke about the event recently when accepting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He said at the ceremony, quote, "I got the largest first album. debut album, and hip hop album, but you don't got no Best New Artist trophy. The Best New Artist, they gave that to Evanescence. Can you find Evanescence? Mike, I haven't seen Evanescence since that night. So definitely throwing a lot of shade there.
At number 8, Monique. Actress and comedian Monique became notable in Hollywood for her stand-up and her role on The Packers, but things escalated for her career when she was cast in the 2009 Oscar-nominated film Precious. Monique played an abusive mother in the film, and as a result of her talent, she was awarded an Oscar for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. This should have catapulted Monique's career, but instead it did quite the opposite. Because she, quote, refused to campaign for her award, director Lee Daniels pegged her as being difficult to work with and a tacky actress, and she's since lost out on a number of roles as a result. With this new label, no one in Hollywood wanted to work with her after that, over fears that she would be troublesome on set and when promoting her work. Monique rose so high and fell so fast, and her career is no longer the same. At number 7, Stacey Dash. Known for her role as Dion in the 90s film Clueless, Stacey Dash had risen to fame in the 90s, but recently she's hit rock bottom and is no longer welcome in the entertainment industry. Nowadays, the actress is known for being quite outspoken when it comes to her political views, and this is what led Hollywood to lock her out. Speaking out about her take on women's rights, Black History Month, segregation, and the quote-unquote bathroom bill, the actress has proven herself to be too much for even the likes of Fox News, for which she used to be a part of. Stacey would often come on air on Fox News to talk about whatever issues were being discussed, but in a turn of events, Fox News let her go for having gone too far with her words, especially in reference to the abolishment of Black History Month. Some people have said that her extreme beliefs are what stopped Stacey from receiving any roles, and have said that she was even dropped by her agent for being too problematic. Her views on gay and trans rights, as well as opinions on race in Hollywood, have ultimately ended her career as an actress. At number 6, Kirk Cameron. Another celebrity who's been dropped by Hollywood is actor Kirk Cameron. Kirk rose to fame on the show Growing Pains, but has subsequently been banned from Hollywood in recent years because of his personal and religious views, especially those pertaining to the LGBT community. Though he seemingly doesn't care about Hollywood thinks about him, it still doesn't take away from the fact that he's no longer welcome in the industry. In recent weeks, Kirk was in the news for his anti-COVID protests, posting photos of him and large groups of maskless people caroling during the holiday season. This, combined with his controversial views on same-sex marriage and his harsh religious views, which he often preaches, Hollywood doesn't want anything to do with the actor because he has a reputation for being problematic.
Halfway number 5, Charles Grodin. Charles Grodin was banned for a very strange reason, and that was apparently because he wasn't cool and didn't mesh well with the cast. And he also didn't seem to care much about the show in general. He apparently skipped rehearsals, which are crucial for a live show, and also improvised lines, which is another huge no-no for live TV. But along with this, his lame attitude rubbed the cast the wrong way. John Belushi once said of Grodin, quote, "He doesn't smoke dope. He's not one of us." And I definitely don't agree that someone not smoking should make you dislike them, but I would assume it's probably a mix of everything that got him banned. In at number 4, Louise Lasser. Louise Lasser was actually the first person who was ever banned off SNL. Lasser was the ex-wife of Woody Allen, who appeared in Bananas and other early features in Allen's filmography. And she was pegged to host a 1976 episode. But less than an hour before the episode went on, Lasser decided to lock herself in a dressing room. And this is live TV, people. You cannot have that before a show. And since she didn't seem like she was going to come out, the cast decided to last minute divide her parts of the show up to themselves. Eventually, she did come out and ended up doing one sketch, but was never let back because they could not risk that ever happening again. In at number 3, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase was a huge success on SNL and leveraged his success on the show to branch out to other things. But he ended up being the only SNL member banned from the show. Apparently, Chase was a handful from the start and insulted plenty of guests that came on the show, like Robert Downey Jr. and Terry Sweeney. But the last straw came in 1997 after it was revealed that he had been harassing women of the show, like one woman who he allegedly hit on the back of the head. But it seems like the ban only applied to hosting, as he did participate in some sketches down the line. And at number 2, Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate had a very unfortunate mishap that caused her time on SNL to be cut short. On September 26th of 2009, she made her SNL debut in a Biker Babes sketch alongside Kristen Wiig and actress Megan Fox. And in the sketch, the women repeatedly use the word frickin' because they can't say the actual F word, on network TV. But in one instance, Slate accidentally said the real F word instead, which was heard live across the country. It was dubbed over for the recorded viewings, but at that point the damage was done. Slate was pulled back in subsequent episode and fired from the show at the end of the season as a result. And finally, at number 1, Shane Gillis. Comedian Shane Gillis is the most recent person to get the boot from SNL, and he was actually cut from the show before he was even able to appear on an episode. After it was announced that Shane, along with 2 other new cast members, were going to be on the upcoming season of SNL, past tweets were revealed that showed Gillis using racist and homophobic slurs. A spokesperson gave a statement on the show's decision to pull Gillis. Quote, after talking with Shane Gillis, we have decided that he will not be joining SNL. We want SNL to have a variety of voices and points of view within the show. The language he used is offensive, hurtful, and unacceptable. We are sorry that we did not see the clips earlier and that our vetting process was not up to our standard.
At number 10, Bella Thorne. If there's one thing that Disney hates, it's when people talk badly about them. They like keeping their brand as clean, drama-free, and as family-friendly as possible, so when people, especially former stars, come out with their stories about working with Disney and having negative attention thrown their way, Disney does the best that they can to shut that person out and cut ties with them to save them from the drama. This is true for Bella Thorne, as she's done multiple interviews talking about her bad experience working for Disney. Bella has told sources about how they used to force her to speak in a higher pitched voice to seem more cute and wholesome, and she caused some scandal amongst executives when she was a young teenager because she was photographed in a bikini, and Disney wanted to fire her over it. Later on, after leaving Disney after the end of Shake It Up, Bella went on a journey of self-expression, dyeing her hair bright colors, lowering her voice to its natural register, and branching out into more mature acting roles. Disney wanted to distance themselves from her bad press as she began adopting the stereotype of the Disney kid gone bad. And especially after later scandals that she's been in, I'm sure they're definitely thinking, Bella who? At number 9, Johnny Depp. Out of all Disney's movie franchises, Pirates of the Caribbean films were surely amongst its best and most memorable collections. Johnny Depp in the starring role of Captain Jack Sparrow catapulted the films to great heights and defined pirate roles for sure. But after the initial drama between him and his ex-wife Amber Heard back in 2016, Disney started to pull away from the actor after he was labeled as an abuser by the tabloids. This wasn't good press for Johnny, nor was it for Disney, since his name was so firmly attached to the company and its Pirates films. Johnny lost a lot of respect from Hollywood during this time, though now we know that it was unwarranted since the reports that Johnny was an abuser was a lie. Disney actually ended up barring him from ever being part of any future productions, including those from the Pirates of the Caribbean, and have pulled away from the actor for good. Even though 2020 saw the truth come out about Johnny and Amber's situation, this still hasn't changed Disney's mind about the actor, and unfortunately we may never see the company rescind their ban. If you guys are enjoying the list so far, please consider leaving a like on this video or even share it with your friends too. It really helps our channel to grow and we would love your support. At number 8, Lindsay Lohan. There have been a number of former child stars that the media has dubbed child star gone bad, many of them being former Disney stars. When one thinks about these disgraced child stars, one of the first that might pop into your head might be Lindsay Lohan. There was a time when Lindsay was one of the most sought after young actresses in the industry. From starring in films like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Disney loved Lindsay, and this catapulted her career through her childhood and teenage years. But there came a time when Lindsay sort of burned out and she went down a dark path. Soon she was in the media for misdemeanor arrests, drug charges, substance abuse, rehab, jail sentences, probation, and a number of other unfortunate happenings in her life. Since her time working for Disney, Lindsay has been in her share of scandals, and as we know, Disney does not like scandal. Though she will forever be linked with the company since that's where she got her big break, they will no doubt forego hiring her for anything they're producing because of her tarnished reputation.
In spot number 7 is Kim Burrell. Ellen DeGeneres seems like a pretty accepting person. You would think it would take a lot to get banned from her show. Well, one thing she will not tolerate is homophobic people or homophobic behavior. She was supposed to have gospel singer Kim Burrell on the show, but then she went on Facebook Live and made some homophobic comments. Reports say she was banned from the show before she even went on. Turns out that she was scheduled to go on Ellen's show and promote the film Hidden Figures with Pharrell, but Ellen confirmed that she did not want Kim on the show. She explained what happened and said, her name is Kim Burrell. She made a statement she was doing a Facebook Live and she said some very not nice things about homosexuals. So I didn't feel that it was good of me to have her on the show to give her a platform after she was saying these things about me. Do you agree with Ellen's decision? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. If I was a homosexual, I probably would not want a homophobic person on my show, or someone who makes homophobic comments. Coming up next, number 6 is Milton Berle. To say he is important to television is an understatement. His nickname is literally Mr. Television. Many people say that he is actually the reason people take TV comedy so seriously. He even invented the idea of celebrity roast thanks to his founding of the Friars Club. So having him on to host Saturday Night Live made a lot of sense at the time. The only problem was he wanted to take more control over the episode than the creator Lorne Michaels wanted him to have. Turns out he added some old comedy bits to the sketches totally unannounced and without approval. Reports say he didn't take any directions that he was given and took it upon himself to give directions to the lighting crew and the stagehands. He insisted on using inappropriate jokes and dialogues in his scripts and even arranged a standing ovation from family and friends without warning the producers. Lorne Michaels was obviously not thrilled about this, and he was banned from the show.
Halfway, number 5, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman turned heads at the 2018 SAG Awards for multiple reasons. Firstly, he wore a black cap on stage while accepting his award, which I'm sure many people with the Academy thought was disrespectful. His friend who presented the award to him, Rita Moreno, even called him out on stage for wearing the hat, with her bluntly telling him to raise his baseball cap so people could see his eyes. And then at the end of his acceptance speech, he criticized the award shows for being gender specific, saying, quote, "I wasn't gonna do this. I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with this statue." He said it works from the back, but from the front it's gender specific. Maybe I started something. And obviously it's safe to say award shows do not like to be called out by their winners on stage. And at number 4, Tommy Wiseau. Tommy Wiseau is the larger-than-life star and creator of the movie The Room, which developed a cult following over the years and is well known as one of the worst movies ever made. Years later, James Franco played Wiseau in a Hollywood adaptation of the movie and ended up winning a Golden Globe for his performance. And when Franco went up to accept the award, he decided to call up Wiseau onto the stage to honor his part in the movie's success. But a shockwave was sent through viewers when Franco was giving his award speech, and Wiseau went in to grab the mic, but Franco blocked it and went on to give his speech. Some people found it disrespectful of Franco, however Wiseau is known as a wild card who has said very controversial things in the past, so I'm sure the network was happy that he was not given time on air. And since he has talked badly about the Golden Globes in the past, he will surely not be invited back.
At number 3, Miley Cyrus. Much like High School Musical was my childhood, so was Hannah Montana. Watching Miley Stewart live a double life as a pop star was my jam, but it turns out that it was Miley Cyrus's nightmare. Over the years since leaving Disney, she's been very outspoken about her time on set, as well as being a child star on the Disney Channel and how it really hurt her. In interviews, she's told sources about scandals that she was a part of as a Disney star, like how she got in trouble for taking specific photos because they weren't deemed Disney safe, and how she felt pressured to work through even the toughest moments of her life. As we know, the mouse hates bad press, and so they pulled away from Miley, but when the 2013 Bangers era hit for Miley, they just banned her after that. The Bangers era saw hits like We Can't Stop, Wrecking Ball, and that cringy Dancing with Robin Thicke and that tongue thing that became popular for a short time. On top of that, Miley was caught drinking and doing drugs on stage and being very open about her substance use. Though that era has definitely ended, those things will stick with Miley and Disney will never forget it, hence her ban. At number 2, Stoney Westmoreland. In 2018, Salt Lake City police were conducting an investigation to uncover identities of known predators in the area, and through this investigation, they discovered that former Disney actor Stoney Westmoreland was guilty of luring underage people. The police were able to apprehend the actor by using a fake profile on a dating site, and he was arrested and charged with 6 felony counts. As a result of his arrest and his crimes, he was promptly fired from his role as a grandfather from the Disney Channel series Andy Mack. Disney has since banned him from not only working, but from being broadcast on TV. Reruns of the show, as well as episodes available to viewers on the Disney Plus streaming service, have removed episodes that include Stoney from the roster. Stoney will not be working ever again. At number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Some Disney stars are able to continue having a pretty decent career even after their time working for the company has ended. Even though they may not work for the mouse, sometimes these stars are able to hold their own for the most part. This was seemingly the idea for Shia LaBeouf, since he continued to hold his own in the industry after leaving his role on Even Stevens, but in recent years his trouble with the law and substance abuse has called down the Disney ban hammer, and now he makes the list of those who are unwelcome at Disney. Shia has had multiple run-ins with police, being arrested multiple times over the years, and one of those times resulted in a racism scandal as he hurled racially charged remarks and disrespect towards a black police officer. He has also had scandals involving public intoxication and violence, and his most recent scandal involves his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs and her lawsuit against him, where she alleges that he abused her during their time that they were together. With all of this bad press, Disney is no doubt wanting to scrub themselves clean of their affiliations with the actor because of his bad place in the media.
And at number 10, Rage Against the Machine. The band Rage Against the Machine was banned from SNL after they performed in 1996, which, fun fact, is the year that I was born. And probably a big part of why was because they decided to pair the band with billionaire and former presidential candidate Steve Forbes. And having an extremely wealthy businessman perform with an anti-capitalist band probably isn't a recipe for success. And the band decided to rebel against Forbes and make their anti-capitalist stance known by hanging American flags upside down on the stage. But after a spectacle like that, they were promptly kicked off the show. Right after they finished the set, producers told the band to leave the premises, no second song. And at number 9, Steven Seagal. Actor Steven Seagal was banned off SNL in 1991. He didn't do anything bad on live TV, which is good, but he just had an all-around bad vibe that the cast did not want to have to deal with ever again. Sources with the show said that his ideas were not only not funny, but he didn't get what made other sketches work. And instead of getting help with his sketches and leaning on the pros, he decided to get nasty instead. Former cast member Tim Meadows explained, quote, "He just wasn't funny and was very critical of the cast and the writing staff. He didn't realize that you can't tell someone they're stupid on Wednesday and expect them to continue writing for you on Saturday." And obviously getting on the bad side of the people that are supposed to help you be funny and look good on TV is a terrible idea, and hopefully he learned his lesson. And at number 8, Robert Blake. Robert Blake was banned off SNL in 1982, apparently because the star was a menace on set and started drama with tons of the cast members. At one point, he even allegedly assaulted a writer. Former writer Dave Sheffield remembers the incident. And when talking about the worst host, he said, quote, "My vote for worst host is Robert Blake. He was sitting in a room and a sketch was handed to him by Gary Kroeger, who was a writer and actor. It was a sketch called Breezy Philosopher, a one-premise sketch about a lofty teacher who's kind of a biker tough guy talking about Kierkegaard. Students kept asking questions while he combed his hair and he'd say, quote, 'Hey, I don't know.' Blake sat there and read that with his glasses down his nose, then crumpled it up, turned to Kroeger and said, 'I hope you got a tough a-hole, pal, because you're gonna have to wipe your ass with that one,' and then threw it off Gary's face." So a very interesting story that basically just proves that he was not very good to work with. And at number 7, Fear. The band Fear was banned in 1981. The only reason the band was even given the honor to perform on SNL was because former cast member John Belushi lobbied for the band to be on the show. And although Lorne Michaels was reluctant, the band was able to get a spot. One big reason was because Belushi promised to appear in a small role in the episode as an extra incentive. But after their performance, the extra incentives were definitely not worth it. The band decided to bring along a bunch of slam dancers that caused so much damage to the set, was estimated to cost around $200,000 to fix it all. And I doubt John Belushi had much say at SNL after that incident. And at number 6, Milton Berle. Milton Berle was banned off the show in 1979, and the reason for this was because he was incredibly entitled and acted better than the show itself, which is never a good vibe for a collaborative environment. Apparently when he pitched a sketch, he told the cast, quote, "Now this might go over your heads," and things, didn't get any better on air. He tried to take all the camera time he could, shamelessly plugged his own products, and made his groupies lead a standing ovation. One of the show's writers, Rosie Schuster, described the rehearsal for the Berle SNL show and the telecast as, quote, "watching a comedy train accident in slow motion on a loop." Yikes.
At number 5, Armie Hammer. Do you guys remember the 2013 film The Lone Ranger? You probably don't. That's because it was a Disney flop, and it's actually one of its worst grossing films ever, as it barely made back enough money to cover their over $200 million movie budget. When the movie tanked, the blame was being shifted around, and some landed on the film's star, Armie Hammer. As the Lone Ranger himself, his performance was given the blame for how poorly the film had done. Since the movie tanked so badly, Disney never really took a chance on him again, but even if he was still in their good books, he certainly has been removed from them now. Armie has now been caught in a new scandal involving leaked DMs that paint him as something of a cannibal, The messages that have been leaked to the internet include him saying that he wants to take a bite out of his partner and wants to drink their blood. Reports came out recently that one of his ex-girlfriends said that Army once carved an A into her flesh, adding to the disturbing reports surrounding Army. Disney must have issued a ban for him now, just in case there was ever a possibility for a Lone Ranger sequel. At number 4, Zac Efron. I want to know just how many people watching this have seen the High School Musical movies. I lived off those. They were my entire childhood, and Zac Efron was very present in my life as his face decorated many a school bag or t-shirt. Zac was Disney's golden boy because of the success of the High School Musical movies and everything that came with it. They really milked every last drop of Disney magic out of that guy, and after the films wrapped, Zac just left the scene, and he was very outspoken about his time working for the mouse. We know that Disney doesn't like being badmouthed, and they especially don't like being made fun of in the media, but this is exactly what Zac did when he was a guest on SNL back in 2009. This took place just after the third High School Musical movie came out, and he did a skit on SNL where his character, Troy Bolton, returned to East High to talk to the newest graduating class and tell them that life is very different after high school and that his life is over because he decided to grow up. It was all fine until they brought in someone who played a thawed-out Walt Disney who warned Zac about Disney stars' futures. They joked about the fact that Disney stars always crash and burn after leaving Disney, and the company doesn't appreciate that, and so now they make a point of not working with Zac anymore.
And at number 3, Nicki Minaj. Of course, the queen of rap, Nicki Minaj, is never going to be actually banned from an award show, but I'm sure she had the VMAs very nervous in 2015 when she used an acceptance speech to publicly call out Miley Cyrus after Miley made some negative comments about her in the press. While accepting the award for Best Hip Hop Video at the MTV Video Music Awards, Nicki Minaj finished off her acceptance speech saying, quote, "And now back to this beat that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press," adding, "Miley, what's good?" Miley handled it very well and quickly congratulated Nicki on the win and said that the media twisted her words. And since I know you all want to hear the comments that Miley said, Miley did an interview speaking about Minaj's Twitter spat with Taylor Swift over nominations, where Miley said, quote, "What I read sounded very Nicki Minaj," which, if you know Nicki Minaj, is not too kind. It's not very polite. I think there's a way you speak to people with openness and love. You don't have to start this pop star against pop star war. I know you can make it seem like, oh, I just don't understand because I'm a white pop star. I know the statistics, but I know what's going on in the world. But to be honest, I don't think MTV did that on purpose. And at number 2, James Franco. James Franco is 1,000,000% banned from hosting the Oscars ever again. And his performance hosting with Anne Hathaway was so bad, I wouldn't be surprised if he's secretly banned from presenting awards too. If you don't already know about this legendary night, James Franco and Anne Hathaway hosted the 2011 awards, but it was universally regarded as a train wreck. Most people found it terrible because of how different the hosts were acting. Anne was trying to be very upbeat and keep the energy high, while James acted like he just didn't even want to be there and acted incredibly uninterested with the whole thing. And I think it's safe to say that Franco is the one that made it a little hard to watch, while Anne was just trying to keep things afloat. Hathaway admitted that she initially tried to turn down the gig, but eventually came around, saying, quote, "Your first instinct is usually the right one." And now, because the hosting was so bad, the Oscars has not done 2 co-hosts ever since. Also, apparently the whole thing was Franco's idea, which just makes everything even worse. And finally, number 1, Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest is beloved in Hollywood, so again, there's no official ban here, but he was definitely shunned at the 2018 Oscars, and people definitely noticed. After sexual allegation happened shortly before the Oscars, big stars decided not to get swept up in any drama and avoided being interviewed by him on the red carpet. Seacrest strongly denied the accusations, saying that they were an attempt to extort him. And E! backed up their star, saying they investigated and found no evidence of indecent behavior. And although most stars shunned him, Taraji P. Henson decided to support him. Taraji said during an interview with Seacrest, quote, "The universe has a way of taking care of good people," while touching his chin. Adding, quote, "You know what I mean?" When talking about the statement later, she said, quote, "I did it to keep his chin up. It's an awkward position to be in. He's been cleared, but anyone can say anything."